Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you know, just a few months ago there were elections for the European Parliament. But despite the opinion polls, the predicted swing to the far right did not happen in too many countries. Indeed, in a number of European countries, instead there was a shift towards the Green parties, including in Germany, which now has 25 Green MEPs in the new European Parliament. I have to say, when I first heard about this, I was rather pleased, felt a sense of satisfaction. I like to think of myself as a bit of a greenie. My parents were very environmentally friendly, and my mother would even collect manure from the horses when they went down the road to use them to fertilise her roses. Now, I certainly wouldn't go that far, but when I'm at home, I do try to make sure that the fruit and the vegetables that I buy don't have air miles, so no grapes from India or Brazil from me. And after all the years that I've lived in Germany, separating my waste is second nature to me, my rubbish. But it's quite easy to feel smug, I found recently. It's all very well to say I have this and this behaviour which is environmentally friendly, but if it doesn't require any sacrifices for me, it's nothing to feel too proud of. It's a bit of a different matter if, for example, to do something for the environment, you do have to make a personal sacrifice. Now, last week I was in Mantova, and as you know, probably it's a lovely city, and the lady at the B&B, the Airbnb apartment that I was renting, recommended that I go for a walk around the lake. But she warned me about all the mosquitoes and said it was essential to use proper insect repellent. Now, I don't normally travel with bug spray with me unless I'm going abroad somewhere where you might get malaria, for example. But after hearing this warning, I thought I'd better get some bug spray before I go to the lake. So I went to the supermarket and I was browsing the shelves, and I saw that every single insect repellent spray on the shelves, including the ones for children, contained DEET. Now, DEET is a chemical that is very effective in repelling insects, but it also has a number of toxic effects. The United States Environmental Agency recently declared DEET to be slightly toxic to birds and fish and to aquatic animals and insects in general. So yes, it might kill the mosquitoes, but at the same time there's a lot of collateral damage, killing a whole range of innocent insects as well. Now, in recent years, there's been quite a lot of publicity about campaigns to save bees due to the plummeting number of bee populations. And bees are quite cute. They make honey, they're pretty. But what about all those insects out there that aren't as cute as the bees? They're just as important. Insects are important for the food chain. After all, studies have shown that in Germany, with the falling number of insects, the number of bird species have plummeted by 25% in just 50 years. Now, obviously bug sprays are one thing, but the primary culprit to the plummeting number of insects is agriculture. Of course, the use of pesticides, which again are like a nuclear bomb, killing not just the target pest, but also all insects in the area. And the use of monocultures, which destroy the diversity of plant life, and with it the natural habitats for these insects. And then of course there is the destruction of hedges and bushes that divide different fields. This is due on the one hand to the trend towards ever larger farms, but it allows farmers to access their land more easily. But it's also due in part to agricultural policies, in particular, for example, the Common Agricultural Policy from the EU. In the past, direct payments made to farmers, subsidies, were done on a per hectare basis, but only for land that was planted or sowed with arable crops. And obviously, if the land has bushes or hedges there, they don't receive any payments for that part of the land. However, things seem to be changing there with a more greener approach. Nevertheless, despite all this doom and gloom, the tide seems to be turning. In Germany, where the insect population has declined by 80% in the past 27 years, people have begun to protest. In Bavaria, following a petition by people, the local state government is adopting measures to ban glyphosate and other plant protection measures. And the city of Berlin has just adopted new legislation so that all green spaces and parks in the city will be organic green spaces, so the use of pesticides is banned. Following these measures by these different areas in Germany, the national government is now also proposing legislation to ban pesticides, or to at least reduce the number of pesticides in the agricultural sector. It remains to be seen, however, whether this legislation will be adopted. So just to sum up, this environmental problem, like so many others, calls for a threefold approach. Yes, farmers need to step up and take responsibility and perhaps adopt more sustainable approaches. But at the same time, policymakers need to provide incentives for them to do so, and that includes European legislators. And of course, we as citizens have a role to play. The next time you reach for the bug spray in the supermarket or the chemist, you might want to think twice, because after all, even if you do get bitten, you're not likely to contract malaria in the north of Italy at the lakeside. Thank you.